Welcome again to another sequel of How to Play Jazz Piano. And this week we're going to talk about a hot topic. Since it's hot outside, we're going to talk about Latin American music and how to translate this to the solo piano. Now, the last 2 weeks we haven't been able to record anything because our mic preamp was at the shop being repaired, but now we have a wonderfully working preamp back and we can produce more tutorials, and I'm very glad. So, what is Latin American music? Latin American music differs from North American music by its rhythms. In Northern American music, you basically have this swing thing going on, which Latin American music almost universally lacks. But on the other hand, you have these nested polyrhythms that come basically directly from Africa, and they've been retained in this music tradition. And that's why, as black people were brought over from Africa and sold to slaveholders in the Americas, the French, Spanish, and Portuguese slaveholders that predominated in Southern and Central America let the slaves keep their drums, and so the drum tradition was preserved. Whereas in Northern America, the largely British slave owners, they took the drums from the slaves, and so a new rhythm developed that had less to do with Africa. Now, an underlying pattern of all Latin American music is the clave. The clave is a rhythmic pattern that goes something like this. You all know it. You can also do it the other way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You get the idea. And the northernmost outpost of Latin American music is New Orleans. And you'll hear that the famous second line groove that's very prevalent in Mardi Gras parades and stuff is basically a literal clave as a bass line. I'll play it with both hands now. Now, in order to translate this to solo piano, we need to find a way to play the clave with the left hand only. So we resort to our shell voicings and play . Right? So, you'll notice that this example had swung eighth notes. So I played instead of straight. So this is the only type of Latin American music that has swing eighths. The New Orleans grooves. So, what you do basically is you play a tenth. It's quite stretchy. And in that way you can play a second line groove. So another groove that is derived from the clave in the New Orleans tradition is the New Orleans Rumba. The New Orleans Rumba basically takes the three side of the clave, bum, 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 and repeats that as a bass line. Just very quickly, the clave is a two-bar pattern that is divided in a two-side with 2 beats and a 3-side with 3 beats. And together they form the whole pattern. 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. Or 2, 3, 1, 1, 1. So, what we do is we take the 3 side of the clave only and play it in the left hand. Right? Now, if you want to play a solo over that, you might want to add a chord with the left hand, and the easiest way to do that is on the 2. You jump up very quickly from the bass note. 1 is staccato anyways, you have time to change. Play the chord on the 2 and jump back down in time for the 2 and. Of course, you can also play the chord integrated into the right hand. Okay, so the next region that we're going to concern ourselves with is Brazil. Brazil has a music that is less clave dependent. It's instead based on our bass drum pattern played by the surdo bass drum in the samba ensembles, and we first practice that pattern with a rhythm that is quite slow and easy to master, and that's the Bossa Nova. So for the Bossa Nova, you play an upbeat to the 1 and to the 3, and then the 1 and 3 itself. So it sounds... Just use an alternating bass line for the beginning. Start adding in chords. how I added in chords into the right hand, so I get a full sound between both hands with bass line, chords, and melody. Of course, there's also a way to play a left hand bass line and chord pattern only. So you have your right hand free to go in the higher registers of the piano, and that is, you could go. You get that, right? Now, the other famous Brazilian groove is the samba. And the samba is basically nothing else but a fast bossa nova. Historically, it developed the other way around. The bossa nova is a slowed down samba. But just now, to give you the easier rhythm first, I decided to treat the bossa nova before the samba, but historically the samba is older. So for the samba, you play the same bass pattern, but just in the double tempo. And so forth. It's actually pretty easy to get a hang of it. The only thing is you basically need to hit the key again before it comes up completely in order to go legato into the 1 and 3. So you're gonna play. Otherwise you have an ugly gap in the notes. You don't want that. Now, the downside of this is you need a good piano. It doesn't work on every piano. If the action is too slow, you're basically doomed playing a samba. Now, the third epicenter of Latin American music is Cuba. In Cuba, you have the clave rhythm as the base of everything, but rarely anybody plays it. So, there is a bass figure that's almost universal in Cuban music, and that's the tumbao. Now, how does the tumbao go? It's basically always you play a 2 and a 4 in every bar. You heard that right, you don't play a 1. And so the basic rhythm goes, if I said I'm going to use a metronome here that I brought, going to use this for the rest of the lesson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Get that? That is the tumbao pattern. And now, how does that tumbao pattern relate to the clave? Pretty easy. That way. Now you notice, although the clave has a 2 and a 3 side, the tumbao is identical on both sides of the clave. So you just keep that 1 bar rhythm going in the left hand, you'll be fine. So, now you can add chords to the tumbao and play. And you get a pretty satisfying groove. But the real Cuban pianists do something different. They play a montuno. I'm going to stop this here explaining the montuno. The montuno is a pattern in the right hand that is very syncopated, and it only plays a 1 every other bar. And the 1 indicates the 2 side of the clave is right. Where the clave has a break, the montuno plays its 1. So if I have a 2, 3 clave, 1. I'm gonna play my 1. Clear. So how does that relate to the tumbao? You see? I'm not playing any chords, I'm just outlining them with my montuno pattern. That's basically giving me the chords in a broken form, and it always contains octaves. That's typical for this kind of Cuban piano playing. Now, you can also play free melodies to the tumbao. You see, I'm adding chords in with the right hand as I see fit, as we did with swing jazz and all the other kinds of grooves that we've covered so far. So, this is pretty much it about different Latin American grooves. I wish you happy practicing. Get through these hot months of the year, okay? And I'll see you next week. Thank you.